Hello everyone, my name is Alexandra Carusi, and this week I am going to be discussing ALLAN SEKULA's reading on the body archive. Mr. SEKULA was born on January 15th in 1951 in the state of Pennsylvania, and he passed on August 10th in the year 2013. Mr. SEKULA was an American photographer, writer, filmmaker, theorist, and very tough critic. He focused most of his studies on the larger economic systems, especially imaginary and material geographies of the advanced capitalist world. SEKULA links photography with policing at the beginning of the reading and discusses a man by the name Robert Peel, who was seen as an example of modern British policing and who happened to have a really strong correlation with the National Gallery, as SEKULA outlines. His significance furthers in 1829. Robert Peel established the Metropolitan Police Force of London. ALLAN SEKULA explains how photography was seen as a threat to the art because it was able to portray a raw truth in the images rather than the imaginary photo, sketch, or painting. A quote from the reading that exemplifies this ideology quite well is the following: that of providing ceremonial representation for the bourgeois self. This implication tied into the relevance of policing. The photographic self-portraits were able to exhibit a social pathology and were exceptionally effective for things like criminal identity photos and mugshots. SEKULA referenced the photographic portraits to exhibit the moral exemplars where sketch or painting could not. SEKULA then introduced the man Marcus Root, a man that took a strong liking to these photographic portrait functions and the ideologies tied behind them. Root references Hermy Betham's theory of 1787. The theory implies that every portrait will take on its own social and moral hierarchy, something that SEKULA references quite frequently throughout his research. ALLAN SEKULA deconstructs the ways in which photographic modernists practice this notion of the archive. He begins to investigate scholar Walker Evans' findings from his research, The American Photographer's Approach. Mr. Evans' findings connected the individual to the social through the literal documents, as they were referred to. A literal document example could be a police photograph of a murder crime scene, something that is not really a portrait. SEKULA strategically lays out his evidence and findings to support his theory of the repressive use of photography, including these theories from multiple other scholars and their findings prior. SEKULA separates the power of a photograph indifferent from art using a few essential key terms. He says that a photograph embodies that private moment and that frozen gaze. He means that one may look downward on a photograph and sustain a vision of all of the main characters' inferiors, and on the contrary, one may look upwards to see their betters. SEKULA discusses this notion of the social and moral hierarchy quite frequently throughout his research. SEKULA mentions scholars in his reading such as Robert Peel, Marcus Root, Walker Evans, Paul Cummings, and many others. Based on SEKULA's ideologies that he mentioned in this research, I gather that the use of photography in the post-dated time period when this was written was connotated to more negative aspects rather than positive. This digital composite of photographic portraits and literal documents is only one of many. I would be inclined to hear SEKULA's thoughts on things like drones and present-day digital use and functionalities, being that this was written over 30 years ago. The digital compass ALLAN SEKULA explored has become something much greater and more complex. We have many more examples of photographic capabilities. A few of those examples include drones used in warfare, aging system used in policing force, filters on social media, time lapses used in videography, motion-supported slow motion for sporting events, and the list goes on and on. In the discussion for the seminar this week, I'd be inclined to hear what you guys come up with in terms of examples, and I hope to connect all of SEKULA's ideologies to modern day technologies as well. This brings me to the conclusion of my presentation. I just want to thank you guys for making it through this video and listening to my take on Alan Sekula's Reading the Body Archive. I understand it was a quite complex one, and it could be hard to grasp some of those main ideas. I look forward to discussing this over in seminar with you guys this week, and I want to just do a thank you again. I hope you guys have a great day.